Alura. Welcome back to my channel here at Spiritually Awkward, where we're going to be discussing a couple of different subjects, I think, that are really important. So please show some support. I haven't done videos in so long, and because of that, it's not showing up on the watch page feed or the suggestions. And in order to keep making these videos, I need a little positive encouragement here. So please like, subscribe, and reshare if you can. Thank you. So today I want to talk with you all a little bit about the indoor generation. It's very important because that's exactly what we've entered into now. I have to be very careful what I talk about now, guys, because it is like so very hard anymore to really speak. So the indoor generation, it's basically symbolizing the fact that many people in this world today stay indoors. We go back into the Bible, and it specifically said in the Bible, that it was going to be very hard for people to go outside during, those days and times. Now, I think that not a lot of people are 100% knowledgeable merely about some of the hidden symbolism in the Bible and what it actually represents. And while I'm not going to get into that here, it is extremely important to notice that we are experiencing a lot of those things in the world today. We truly are. We have crime and disease and weather problems more than ever before in history. And it just seems like slowly society is gradually dying away. So with the indoor generation, you go back to 2012, everybody was so excited that they had found a spiritual pathway. They were like, yay, finally I can really explore myself in the imagination within myself that I really truly believe in. And everyone was excited about crystals and stones. And they were going out and, really taking the time out to meditate and to, enjoy, being who they really were. And that really appealed to people, especially who were already pretty indoor, because they were outcasts and recluse and, had a really hard time in life. With that being said, it started to kind of spread. But it did happen like a light switch. It was like 2012 came and suddenly everybody was suddenly accepting of spiritual beliefs. Not everybody, but a lot of people became a trend, amongst a very specific range of age. So it became something that people were really, really, really open about, and they started wanting to learn all kinds of new forms of wisdom and knowledge. But during that time, something else was happening. Behind the scenes, we had an agenda that was promoting people to kind of get stuck on their phones. Sit in front of the television, watch Netflix repetitively, get stuck in front of your phone and, do your research, go out there and walk around with your phone and don't pay attention to the world. The world is not a happy place anyway. Nobody accepts you. You're too different. So keep to yourself. So a lot of people took solace in the electronics as they were being promoted. And they did that through, a lot of the use of celebrities and people that they felt were highly influential at the time, because if they were, rocking the new iPhone or Galaxy, and they were playing enough commercials about it, anybody sitting there having it repetitively played, if you ever notice the same commercial kind of just keeps playing and playing and playing, that's going to program you to go out and want that new phone. And children are especially susceptible because they're young and their minds are very easily influenced. It's the developmental phase. So kids going to their parents, Mom, Dad, I want the new iPhone. Everybody at school has it, because everybody else in the world has it. And so their parents don't want to hear them complaining. They don't want to see them unhappy. They want to give their kids what they're asking for. And plus, with a lot of the television shows also that were going on at that time, things like Drake and Josh, we had SpongeBob SquarePants, what else? iCarly. I mean, there were a number of shows, really, that were showing a great disregard for parental influence. iCarly didn't even have a parent, had an older brother, and she could treat him, with pranks and jokes, and there was no authority or discipline in that matter. And then you had Drake and Josh who, played the parents like they were complete idiots. SpongeBob, had no parents. It was just a young kid living on his own, just horsing around with his friend, with a lot of subliminal messaging going on in there, and countless, numerous other ones. So kids were already learning how to be really disrespectful, to not really care about the parental authority. So when that's going on, they're already in that mindset that I don't care about what my parents say. I want what I want. And therefore, they would go to their parents, and parents are struggling. They don't have the money. They are working these limiting, imprisoning 9-to-5 jobs, and they're tired. They got to get up early, get the kids to school, make sure that they're all done up because they want to be presentable, or throw on their clothes because they're lagging, and then work all day long just to be able to pay bills. And then when they pay the bills, there's no money for themselves to enjoy life at all whatsoever. And then their children come wanting the most expensive thing because it's electronic, it costs a lot, and every single year there was propaganda for a whole new updated system, which it was ridiculous. The one year they were selling the same exact phone with just a change in the button and without a headphone jack, and you had to pay how much more money, for that? So the kids will go, oh, I want what I want, and how come my friend has it, and, I hate you, and you suck, and all these horrible things that they would say to their parents, and the parents are just so overwhelmed because they're struggling so bad to make ends meet that they would go out and they would spend the last bit of what they had struggling to get their kids what they had. And plus in their mind, they're thinking, oh my God, when I was a kid, I didn't have what other kids had. Or the parents that, did grow up with a little money are thinking, well, I got to keep my kid cool. So there were two totally different perspectives going on there, but those two different perspectives led to the same result. It was buy the kid what he wants, or she wants, and that's that. And so the kids started getting locked into things. Then the whole wave of vines and all kinds of new stuff came out that was appealing to children. And what were they doing in those videos? That's right, the same exact thing. These were kids that were pranking adults, acting so utterly disrespectful in society to strangers, and that was teaching kids that was okay to do. And now, what do we have? We have a society of children that are running loose, acting any way that they want, without any moral ethic or consideration towards the adults that they're acting out in front of. I have a couple really good examples. We go back into the Bible, which is where it was specifically saying, the world was going to be an awful place. Crime, disease, financial, economic struggle. There was going to be a lot of sin. And during that time, people would not be able to go out of their houses, as much. They would be less and less and less. And I remember when I was a kid, we used to ride our bikes, or we would sit outside and we would make believe. We would climb trees and we would find something to do. And since, iPads and all those other things didn't exist, we actually read books. And books are so much better because the light from your phone, you're getting the quality of reading from words that are imprinting upon your mind. You're programming your mind. And kids will say, well, it's the same thing on my cell phone. Well, it's really not. Because the cell phone distracts you. As you're reading, you're jumping over here, jumping over there, text messaging coming in over here. So you're only getting fragments of the information. So with that being said, how would they promote a world that would end up with kids, adults, not wanting to go outside anymore? Well, make the next generation unruly. And look what's happening out there. We see young artists that are coming up. There's a guy named 6ix9ine. He promotes a lot of stuff that children shouldn't be listening to, but he appeals to the younger audience. My son has brought that home to me. So a lot of kids that are my son's age are actually listening to that kind of music because he comes out colorful. He comes out clownish. And I'm not trying to put the guy down. Like, he's going to do whatever he wants. He can look however he wants. I have nothing against people, with multicolored hair here. But it does appeal more to children because it's bright, it's colorful. Those are what stimulate psychologically the minds of a younger person. And it has the illusion of being clownish. It really does, if you're looking at it beyond the surface. So children see that and they hear it and they don't understand the words of the music. And when my son brought it home from school, I said, honey, don't you understand what this man is saying? No. Well, why do you listen to it then? What are you listening to it then? Oh, all the kids at school listen to it. So these are things that are going on in an adult world, in a criminal world, a sexual world, that are being promoted through these songs and reaching children that are very, very young. They don't understand because they haven't lived those experiences yet. So to them, it's just words. Plus, they're covering up the meaning with a lot of slang terms, and the children aren't really understanding it at all. They're just hearing somebody, talking really fast over top of a beat that's very appealing, and then they see his image, and then they see their peers. So they start to follow course. It's subliminally implanting, a lot of nonsense. So then here's an example, exactly what I'm talking about not being able to go outdoors anymore. You're stuck indoors because of the way that the generation is being brought up. Is that one example of this? And there's many, and there will be a lot of people who will agree with me on this, is that I went, just to the corner store over here by my house, and I'm walking, and, I'm obviously having a child, and you can see it, from the shape of my stomach, being rounded, and I'm walking across the street with my small son, all of which, first of all, if you see a pregnant mother with a small child, you should be able to kind of, show respect. That's how we kids were. If we saw somebody like that with their young kid, we would run over, open up the door for them, ask them, hey, do you need help for anything? Or we would just, stay out of it and just, be quiet and try to show that level of moral respect. Not me. I'm walking across the street, I have my phone in my hand, and these kids are, I don't live in any area that is drug infested. I don't live in a high crime rate area, but yet these kids are 11, 12, all the way up to 15, a whole group of them, selling drugs because of the music. They think that they are gangsta. So they're out there selling weed, smoking weed. I saw a kid that was only 11 smoking cigarettes. And so I decided to mind my business, and I had my phone in my hand. I'm just walking because I'm using it, as a distraction so that I don't draw attention and they don't think my attention is on them. And all of a sudden, the little 11-year-old says, delete that. And I'm thinking, what am I deleting? I didn't even do anything. Apparently, he just didn't like the fact that I had the phone in my hand, thought maybe I was taking pictures of them because of their illegal activity, and he started attacking me. And I'm telling you, this little boy didn't even care that I was a pregnant mother. He didn't even care that I had a small kid with me it was about his age, but still, the kid's with his mom. Nobody acts like that in front of somebody's mom. We didn't. But he still ran after me. And he actually, pulled his pants up to kind of get himself, in that fighting position and put his hands up to come at me. And I'm looking at this little boy in horror, not because I'm thinking I'm going to get hurt. I'm thinking, oh my God, are you serious? I love everybody, and I'm thinking, where's this boy's parents to help him? Where's the positive influence in his life? Because I guarantee you, through my vision and also just logic and common sense, you can see that majority of those kids in that group are going to grow up in and out of jail, committing great crimes, especially with the music talking about rape and disrespecting women. So that's forcing everybody indoors. That's forcing everybody into the house because people don't feel safe anymore. I mean, it goes back to another example. I've been walking out of the store and I held the door open and the girl grabbed it. And as I was like kind of, coming out again, I saw that she had the door. So I let go and I just walked out, and she let go of the door and it hit herself in the face. And she came up to me cursing in my face, threatening to F me up. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this girl must be like, what, 14 years old? Obviously, she hit herself with the door, and she's coming at me. I would have just, I would have took responsibility for the door hitting myself, but I certainly wouldn't have attacked some adult. Even if, I had accidentally done something, I certainly would have turned around and said, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. You can't even do that. That reminds me of another time, I'm at the grocery store, and I remembered accidentally, I'm pushing the cart, and I stopped to look at the items that I was going to purchase, and I accidentally, clipped the girl's back of her ankle with the cart. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I did not mean that. I was totally not paying attention, please. And she went off on me too. There's so much aggression and so much violence within these young people. And I'm telling you, because the parents are working, and it's not their fault, because they have to work in order to afford things. And all the while, all the projection through the music and through television, and there's a lot of emphasis, even in anime. Anime is also, promoting things because it's supposed to be cartoonish for children, but if you look up anime, there are pornographic anime images. So it's very enticing for them because they see it and they're like wanting to explore. It's a part of human nature, I suppose, to want to understand your sexuality. But the idea is that, it's not appropriate for certain age groups, especially when it's crime-based and violent. And it doesn't even matter about, explicit anymore being, on the labels, or even on cartoons that are made for adults, because kids just want to watch and listen to what they want to. The parents are dead tired. They're slave driving themselves. They just want peace and quiet. They have a mind full of racing thoughts of how to survive and how to get by, or relationship issues on top of that, worrying about their kid. And if they're excelling in school, they don't even have much time to worry about themselves. So they get sidetracked into kind of just blanking out, not knowing how to cope. So the children are just allowed to do whatever they want. And as they're coming out and hanging out with their friends, they're creating disrespect, violence, chaos, and a lot of the videos, the vines, other people that they look up to on YouTube that make their own videos about pranking people and acting disorderly, is changing them. And if it continues that way, people are just going to keep on getting to a point where they don't want to go outside at all. And the only comfort that they get is the internet, because it's their gateway outdoors while they're stuck in this indoor generation. And that's how they wanted it all along, was for people just be very secluded, lose your social skills. If you lose your social skills, I'm sorry, you lose empathy. You lose your empathy. You lose your ability to care. And if you don't care, when you do go outdoors and something happens, you're not going to handle the situation anymore, because you're not going to care. You're going to be centered here. And when that occurs, it's over. Not to mention that we have a lot of other things being promoted too. We have a guy that's running for some kind of political office, and he's promoting that it should be okay that homosexuality is a sexual preference. So he's saying that pedophilia should also be too. And I'm sorry if you don't want to hear this, and I'm sorry if I'm coming off too bluntly, but I don't want to live in a world where they're promoting more damage to innocent children. I don't want to. You think about the world and what it's coming to. And everybody out there doesn't see it because they're just shifting, with the trends of the times. And when you talk about it, people get offended because they don't want to hear the truth. But the truth is that if we don't try to become a better change and a better influence and a better role model, and try to work out adult issues in your lives and seek help and guidance, so that you don't have that focus there, you have your focus in the right places, you could become a better role model for your children or somebody else's children that you're around all the time. And you can help make the world a better place through them and through yourself, because adults and other people, within that age group, they are the example. And it's the adults that allow these things to happen through what they allow on TV, what they're allowing to be projected on the internet. So we have to start keeping an eye on things a lot better, with parental controls and things like that. Don't give in to your kids just because you're tired. Tell them. Let them know. If you have to be mean, you got to be mean about it. But that's the indoor generation, older people too. You think about it every day. And, I talk to my father and a lot of older people that are his age. He's 70 something. And, you talk to them and you ask them, what are your thoughts? And they don't even know everything because they don't use the internet like we all do. They just watch the news, and we all know that the news just projects what it wants to. It doesn't tell you everything. It doesn't tell you everything. It's actually telling you news to implant ideas of more crimes that are going to be more loose later. And that's the truth. It's reverse psychology. But seeing it, people that are awake enough to know, older people that have seen the world change, they don't want to go outdoors either. It's scary. It's not the world that they knew with respect and hard work and ethics. It's changing. And we have to try, even though it's very hard, to promote, getting back outside, doing activities, trying to enforce better rules and structure on our children, or we don't stand a chance. So don't get stuck on your phones. Be an example for your kids. It's not good for you anyway. As you're reading, they're mapping what you're looking up, and that makes it easier for them to kind of make things pop up on your phone, make new advertisements pop up, to play on that, so that, you're spending all your money on things that you really can't afford. Then you're stressed out. Then you're depressed. Then you just want to isolate again, or you want to spend more money again because you're bored and you have no other place to go. And it's a cycle, and then that houses you within that recluse phase, and you're stuck inside and you're not living life, and that's not productive. And that was, part of that promotion of the indoor generation. I love you all so very much, and I wish you all so many blessings. I really do, in this, very hard life. But let's make it easier for one another. I'll see you next episode.